Hello world, it's your girl Dana Monet, and I'm back again with another installment of The Voice Season 9 recap. Woohoo! And we're into the knockouts, and I am really excited because my girl Riri is on the show as a guest advisor, Rihanna, and she is definitely doing the damn thing. And I just have to say, she has, a lot of insight. She knows what she's talking about. A lot of people on the blogs are like, Rihanna needs to be a coach next season or the season after, because I think Christina Aguilera is coming back next season. But she absolutely does. I mean, say what you want about Rihanna. She's not the best singer. I always thought that she may not be the best singer, but she always had a very unique and distinctive voice. That's what I feel. So good for Rihanna, and I'd like to see her more on The Voice. So, but we'll see her more next week. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of this in the knockout rounds, and I'm so excited. Okay, so first up in the knockouts was Team Adam, and we had Blaine versus Andy and Alex. Interesting pairing. Sometimes I think once it gets to the knockouts, it's not necessarily like a real reason why they're pairing certain people together. They're just kind of trying to weed out the weak or whatever the case may be. So they really have no connection in my opinion. But Blaine sang Hold Back the River and Andy and Alex sang Stupid Boy. Now, my feelings on Blaine was that he kind of sounded like he was trying too hard, but he did have a decent voice and he has like backbone to his voice. My feelings on Andy and Alex, I like that Rihanna finally said something about them, singing separately because they always sing in harmony. I thought they had nice harmonies. I thought that they sounded a little nervous during their song. And a lot of people in the blogs were saying, well, I could see why they don't sing separately because their voices really aren't strong enough. And they're really not that strong. But you can't be a duo. Something about a duo, yes, you sing in harmony, but you can't sing in harmony all the time. So I felt that Adam would still pick the twins because I think that he has this thing with duos, and especially because of the fact that they were twins. But I personally thought that Blaine won that knockout. And I was like, is Adam going to do the smart thing and pick Blaine? And he did. So Blaine won, which was the correct decision. Go Adam. So 1 for 1 for Adam on the knockouts. So that went according to plan. So that's the end of the duos. Moving on, Team Gwen. We had Ellie versus Braden, and Ellie sang Cool for the Summer, and Braden sang Feeling Good. Now, when I heard that Ellie was singing Cool for the Summer, I thought it was an interesting song choice. I still like her voice, but I didn't think that this was a good song to showcase her voice during the knockouts. She sounded pitchy. I feel like she has potential, but this really wasn't a good look for her at all. A lot of people online were saying that she was sick, she had laryngitis. All of that aside, the song was all wrong. Period, point blank, laryngitis or not. If you have the right song, you can sing through being sick. I'm a singer. I know this. If you have the right song, you can sing through being sick or tired or whatever. That sounded absolutely horrible. I was completely off key. That was because I didn't know what I was singing. Wrong song choice. Case in point. Okay, moving right along to Braden. Now, he's decided to sing Feeling Good. And I'm feeling good. This song is on like every commercial. Everybody has sang this song a million times. So I was not excited about this song choice at all. Gwen and Rihanna got him the slickest hair back. So he was looking all like he was about to go to the prom or something. I don't know. Whatever. But, I mean, he had a nice voice. It's just hard for me to get away from the fact that I've heard so many versions of the song. It's not like his version was amazing, but he had a nice voice and he was better than Ellie. And Ellie was one of the people that I had in my voice app, and, now she's gone because Braden won the battle. But he had some nice moments. He had a nice little run at the end, and um, you know, the coaches seemed really impressed. And, as much as I liked Ellie, Braden definitely won that battle that knockout to me. I think I couldn't fault, Gwen for choosing Braden. She could have maybe have still chosen Ellie. Braden might have been stolen and it might not have been worth a steal. So I think she did the right thing with choosing Braden. Next up was Team Blake. This was probably my least favorite knockout pairing. This is the country battle. But this was Barrett, who sang Colder Weather, and Blind Joe, who sang Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. That is a long song title, by the way. So as far as Barrett is concerned, this was the guy who was in the plane crash. So the voice producers and editing have to keep reminding us of that. I still didn't necessarily understand how he got 4 chairs to turn in the blinds. Actually, both him and Blind Joe got 4 chairs to turn in the blinds. I could kind of understand Blind Joe, but Barrett is just a little bit extra to me. He does have a nice voice. He's a male country singer to me that doesn't kind of just rest. He actually pushes and he tries. A lot of male country singers I see on these shows, they just kind of coast. And I feel like he was trying vocally. He has a nice tone, but his movement is awkward sometimes to me. And I'm not so sure if his emotion is genuine. He really didn't do anything special to me. As far as Blind Joe is concerned, it was kind of a very traditional country type song. I felt like he was trying to kind of do more towards the end of the song that wasn't working to kind of, make it his own, and it wasn't coming off right. I mean, he had a nice tone going for the bigger notes, but I don't think that it was executed as he probably wanted it to be. The coaches were noticing a little bit of some nerves with Blind Joe, as was I. So, I mean, I kind of considered it to be kind of a boring knockout. I didn't really care who won necessarily, but I picked Barrett to win. I think that he should have moved forward. And that's exactly what happened. So, Barrett won. As a side note, because I'm doing this in chronological order, this is night 1, by the way. They kept on previewing Jordan's performance, and also they had been actually previewing Jordan's knockout performance like a week in advance. Like, are we already projecting that this is the guy that's going to win? I mean, he's good, but damn, like, really? Like, is that how we're doing this? So, that was bothering me every single commercial break, and I'm like, you're ruining it. Like, stop it. Like, there's nothing that we're going to be surprised about. The performances are only a minute long. Like, you keep showing the glory notes. Like, I don't understand these voice producers. They have no idea what suspense is or unpredictability is. None whatsoever. It's just not in their vocabulary. And they think that we're not going to be surprised. These people have been watching The Voice. We've been watching it for seasons, okay? We know that at the end of the episode, there's going to be a steal. We already know this. This is normal. That's why I can't wait till the lives, because we don't know what's going to happen, and they can't tell that necessarily. So, moving right along. Next was Team Pharrell, and this was a really good knockout battle, whatever you want to call it, pairing. We had Maddie, who sang A Case of You, and Amy, who sang Sunday Kinda Love. Maddie, I liked her. I thought that her voice was very pretty. She had a nice full first falsetto. I liked her lower range too. She had a nice range. And I was really, really loving her voice and her runs, and she had good control. Could hear a little nerves, but she had a lot of good control, and she did a lot of nice, pretty things in there. With Amy, Rihanna, it seemed like she was trying to make her feel something with singing. She was like, pull your hair, do this, or generate this kind of sexy vibe. But I love her voice. It's very old school, soft and pretty. But she doesn't actually have a lot of power to her voice, mostly that lilting quality. It's kind of sexy, sultry tone. To me, they have similar tones, so I can kind of understand why Pharrell paired them in the knockouts. But Amy is kind of stuck in a particular style to me and doesn't really stray from it, while Maddie has that pretty lilting voice but has some power and some unexpected runs. So to me, Maddie is a little bit more versatile and could kind of do, different things and potentially surprise us. I think what Amy does, people will enjoy if you like that kind of music, but like don't expect her to really go outside of her box or do anything else or different because that's who she is and that's what she's going to do. Which, I don't have a problem with as long as it's not boring. Because you can be a kind of quiet singer and not be boring, depending on if you make the right choices and choose the right songs and you engage the audience. Based off of the knockout, I felt that Maddie should win, and I felt like she was the correct person to win, even though I prefer Amy earlier on. I thought that Maddie was the correct person to win, and I knew that Amy was going to get stolen because what was this? The end of the first hour? That's how they do it. End of the first hour, end of the second hour to steal. So we know how this works. So Amy picked Adam. So that was that. The next battle or knock I keep on saying battle. Next knockout pairing was again Team Blake. We had Chance who sang Demons and Yvonne who sang Part of Me. My feeling about Chance was that he surprised me when he first started singing this song and had a deep voice. But I felt like every time I've heard a contestant sing this particular song, I haven't liked it, actually. And I believe I heard Will Champlin singing on The Voice a couple seasons ago, and also I heard Caleb Johnson on American Idol sing this song. And I just don't think it's a good competition song, so I'm not exactly sure why he sang it. Wasn't a good song for him. I didn't like his shirt either. He was a little pitchy on the chorus. He was trying, but it wasn't working. And as Rihanna said, he was flat. So there's that. Yvonne, to me, she has a powerful, commanding voice, actually, without trying. It's not big like Christina Aguilera belty, but she has a nice, full tone to her voice. I don't think that what she did in the battle rounds did her justice. I don't think that that was a good showing of what she could do. But I've liked her from the beginning. She is on my team on the Voice app. Um, Halfway through, not even halfway through the performance, probably after her first note, I knew she had already won. Her pitch was on point. I felt like she had this little cry in her voice I like. Uh, in the middle of her performance, Chance knew that he lost, I'm sure. I was like, poor kid. I mean, her belting was great. And, Blake is smart. He picked Yvonne to move on. And of course, Chance was not stolen. A lot of people on the blogs really don't like Yvonne. I'm not entirely sure as to why, but I kind of feel her, being a little bit of a dark horse in this competition. And, I feel her, going farther than maybe a lot of people think. I just think that she has a very nice, pure sounding voice. And I haven't heard any of her studio recordings, but I think that possibly her voice sounds really good in the studio. So, you know, that's my take on that knockout. Moving along still to Team Adam, and this was like the big knockout of the evening. So we have Jordan who sang Set Fire to the Rain and Victor who sang If I Ain't Got You. This is not one of my favorite Adele songs that contestants choose to sing because, again, people don't usually sing Set Fire to the Rain well on these shows. However, Jordan will kill it, and you want to know how I knew that? Because they had already shown his glory note 50 million trillion times. They actually showed Victor's too, but I've been seeing Jordan's glory note like since last week of them promoting it, so it wasn't as dampering in my mind, but it was just ridiculous. And I knew that Adam was going to pick him to win. Um, but I do like Jordan. I think he has an amazing voice. I think his choices are great. He doesn't miss a note. He goes from low to high very effortlessly. Nice run on the Let It Burn. I just, he's great. I mean, he's living up to the hype. I just wish that they wouldn't pimp him so hard. It's just ridiculous. Victor singing If I Ain't Got You. Of course, Adam had to note that he covered this song because Adam has to do those things to justify himself. Um, so they keep, I wrote down, they keep ruining it for me with these glory notes. But I really do like his voice. It's very rich and pure. Falsetto, I put falsetto on fleek because I really like that falsetto note, even though they kept teasing it and whatnot. It just seemed like the performance was over so fast. Like these knockout performances, I don't even think that they're 90 seconds long. Like seriously, I feel like they're like 60 seconds long. They're absolutely ridiculously quick. So obviously we already knew it was going to be a steal. If I were to pick, I would have picked Jordan, and I knew that Adam was going to pick Jordan, but obviously we knew there was going to be a steal, and rightfully so. And I'm happy that he's on Team Gwen because I think that that adds some meat to her team, having Victor on her team. So I think that that will be a good look for her. And, you know, if she gives him the right songs and doesn't do the wrong things for him, I think that that could, you know, she could have somebody in the finals, you know, and it's hard for these female coaches for some reason to get somebody in the finals. Like last season, why Christina Aguilera couldn't get any of her contestants in the finals, I don't know. Kimberly Nicole, why was she not in the finals? I don't understand. I don't get it. Okay, moving along to night 2 of the knockouts, where there was only 3 because it was only an hour showing, but at least there were no montages. There were no montages. So I think I was right in saying that during the knockouts there aren't any montages, because it's a little bit of contestants left and they don't have to do that. So thank God. So we have Team Gwen and Karina sang All I Want, and Summer sang Little White Church. And I felt like I said Karina. That was a typo on my thing. Her name is Corinne. Correction, Corinne. It sounds like she picked a song that worked for her voice. They could have given her context. They were talking about her singing without her glasses. Like, I don't know why they didn't just give her context, but whatever. She's the awkward one, the quirky one. She does have a soft and pretty voice, but not my cup of tea. Like, Amy and Maddie have the soft and pretty voices, but I prefer theirs over Corinne. So, I'm not sure how long she's going to last. I felt like she could have given a little bit more, but there was a nice falsetto note that she did at the end that I really liked. Summer sang Little White Church. Gwen kind of took the words right out of my mouth when she said not a typical country artist, but I think that's mostly because of the way she looks. She does sound like a typical country artist. She was sassy, but she was a little pitchy in the beginning, but she did have a lot of personality, and I thought that she had a lot of charisma. Not the best voice, but a lot of charisma. I had actually picked Summer to win only because I wasn't really moved by Corinne. A lot of people online felt differently and they really like Corinne, so we'll see what she can do, but she's not my cup of tea. And again, there are other girls in the competition with those kind of soft lilting voices, i.e. Amy and Maddie, and I don't really think that she's better than them. So that's kind of how I feel about that if we're gonna compare, you know. So, but Gwen picked Corinne. I'm not surprised by that. I don't think that Summer should have been stolen, and that's the end of that. So there we go. Next up was Team Adam. We had Dustin, who sang Free, and Keith, who sang I Want to Know What Love Is. With Dustin, I wasn't really feeling his rehearsal, and I wasn't really feeling him when he was performing. I thought he was a little boring. He had a nice raspy voice. He was like flat coming into the chorus. I felt like he was straining. He had a lot of pitchy moments throughout. I think it was just a lose-lose situation for him at that point. Keith, who's the Irish boy, and I love his accent, by the way, was singing I Want to Know What Love Is. I felt like people don't usually do a good job of this song on these shows. Rihanna was trying to help him, but I think that he needs more grit in his voice. Kind of has a thin voice, but he has a little bit of grit. But it was clear enough. The thing is that he was definitely better than Dustin, so he was definitely going to be winning that battle. That's the bottom line. That he did a high note at the end and seemed kind of forced. It was a little bit over singing to me, but he won the battle, and that was all that needed to be done. Next was Team Pharrell, and of course we knew there was going to steal. This was the last knockout pairing of the night. Darius singing On Broadway and Morgan singing Even If It Breaks Your Heart. Now, Darius was one of my favorites from his blind audition. I'm mad that they montaged his battle, but I got to hear him sing in the knockouts. He has a very smooth voice. I mentioned his pants. He had on some tight pants in the rehearsal. His voice is perfection, though. In my opinion, he didn't miss a note. Some people online said that he missed notes. I didn't hear it. His runs are still on point. Even if they're unnecessary, they were on point. And if you make me go like this when you're singing because you're doing runs, then that's a good thing and you're doing them right. So I love it. I think that he's a showman. I actually thought Pharrell would end up pairing him with Mark Hood, as they're kind of similar, the two male R&B black artists on his team, but he didn't, which I'm very happy about, which states that he actually wants both of them there for him in the playoffs. So hopefully Mark makes it too, but I was happy with his performance, and I pretty much knew that Pharrell was going to pick Darius because he had stolen Morgan, so I kind of felt like he put her in there as knockout fodder. But of course, Blake ended up stealing her back, because we know how this happens. Do I think that she's going to end up winning the show? No, like he was saying, like what he did with Craig Wayne Boyd, but you never know. She's country, so whew. But when she was singing, she had broke down in rehearsals. I definitely liked her more in the battles than I did in the knockouts. It was a slightly underwhelming performance for me. I feel like she struggled, and I wasn't sure if they gave her a standing ovation or they were standing up for both of them after the knockouts. But if the standing ovation was just for her, that was not warranted, I don't think. I didn't think that she necessarily deserved a steal. And when Adam was talking, he said that he would pick Morgan, and I didn't hear the fight and passion, and I think that she had some pitch problems as well. But we'll see what happens next week. Darius won. Morgan was stolen by Blake. So I will see you next week.